Just kind of wring it out. And then, I mean, it's super simple. We're just doing 2 colors. You could do more colors if you wanted. But you just take your sponge and you want to stay between the lines. If you want to use masking tape to mask it off, you totally can. If not, one other way to do would be to think about the fact that your sponge might get kind of messy and go over. So your wood grain base, then you could just make a straight line with your brush. Your field stone is going to be a little less messy too, so I'm just going to not worry about my lines. Just kind of go over them. So, you know, a lot of times I watch people get a brush per color. It's not really necessary because we're going to be blending these all together anyways. So then you just kind of dip in your red. If you want to make it, if you were doing Seussical, you might use more of the bright fire red. If you're doing, I don't know, Dracula or something, you might want to get some black in there and make it really ugly and grungy. But that's, I mean, it's really this simple. Just sponging those colors together. I think that one of the things that I see people do for the stage is overblend. So if you get so that it's all like this, once you step back, it looks like one color. So don't be afraid to have some, you know, more bright area, more of the burnt sienna, just so that you get a lot of that color variety. You can also kind of lighten it by letting some of that white, well, I wouldn't let any of the pure white show through, but you can see maybe if it has less paint, if you kind of remove some of that, you get even more texture.
Does putting your hand behind the canvas help?
Well, it does because it's the fabric. So these are Broadway flats where they're covered with muslin. Typically, I can't remember the last time I actually painted a set with the muslin covered flats. Usually they use Hollywood flats, which are blue on covered, and so they're you wouldn't have to do that with us. I just like the muslin because you guys can take it home. Okay, so the other way that you can get this effect, if you have a huge, like 20 foot by 40 foot wall to do, this is obviously going to take you a long time. If you have 30 high schoolers, then go for it. You know, let's get them sponges and let them do it. If it's you and maybe one volunteer and you have one night, what I would suggest is getting some of these sponge rollers. So for this, I would get 2 sponge rollers, the 2 different colors, and then you just want to vary the roller and just overlap, and you'll get the same effect much, much faster. For today, obviously, we're just going to use the sponges because we're doing 18 inches by 3 feet, so it's not going to take that long.
One of the things that we ran into this year in actually doing brick in a different color, we were doing black, white, and gray, was that our students were sponging very differently.
Right.
So if you're having a ton of high schoolers doing it, how, I mean...
Right. What I do with even my college students is I make them trade places all the time.
Okay.
I say everybody's going to have a little bit of a different technique. That's totally okay. But you know, every 10 minutes or so, especially with your sponging, you're going to get up and switch places.
Okay.
Another thing that I say to my students all the time is don't get too attached to it. You can have a scenic chart artist, you can have a scenic designer, or even an assistant come in and paint over what you've done, or go and futz with what you've done. So just being part of the collaborative nature of theater, you know, you have to, the goal is to get the end result. So as diplomatically as you can sort of do that.
Okay.
Yeah.